Malorie's Weird World Adventures, the podcast. I'm your host, Malorie.
And I'm your host, Michael.
And we're here to show you just how weird this world of ours really is. Before we start talking about our Weird World content, first I'd like to say if you have not watched Weird World Adventures yet on Amazon Prime, what are you waiting for? Make sure you go to Amazon Prime and search Weird World Adventures. And season 2 will be out in the fall of 2025. And follow all things on our blog at maloriesadventures.com. Alrighty, guys, I have to preface this right now with the fact that, one, we are driving back from the Great Smoky Mountains, so I apologize if the quality is not up to what it has been in the past. We are in the car, in motion, and sometimes that messes things up. And two, we are exhausted. Who knows how this is going to go because I am unwell after a long week of hiking.
The sound quality and content quality might take a dip here.
Womp womp. We just finished completing 40 hikes for our book on hikes of the Great Smoky Mountains that will be coming out for Falcon Guides.
Before we did 20. We did it in 2 batches.
We did it in 2 batches. Yes, that's a good preface there. We did it in 2 batches. And we did a long, over 5-mile hike yesterday.
It was a good one.
It was a good one. And then today, just many, many shorter hikes. But I don't think I got much sleep this week. Yeah, we were just, on the move constantly. So I am beat. I don't know about you.
I'm pretty tired. Mm-hmm.
So what was your favorite hike, Michael, amongst all the ones we did in the Great Smoky?
This trip or overall?
Let's do this trip first.
Well, yeah, the 5-mile hike you mentioned has a wrecked train, like a wrecked steam engine on top of the mountain. So that was the winner.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
It was also a really pretty challenging hike.
It was. I
liked.
It was it was going up to get in and then going down to get out, which is something I appreciate in a hike.
It was a good amount of steady, incline.
Yes.
And it was like 5.5 miles, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It had a nice payoff at the
steam engine.
The steam engine's a good payoff.
Yeah, it's crashed into a creek, and it's pretty wild.
There was some small water crossings that weren't, they weren't bridged. You had to, paddle across, find some stones, cross a log.
The first time we got to it, it's like, oh, this is so cool, this is so cute, we're crossing the creek. Okay, we gotta kind of jump across some rocks here, and then the 7th one,
you just misstepped in Malorie's ankle deep in mud.
Oh my God! It was just there were parts where you were just going to get your feet wet no matter what you did. And that's a good thing of writing this hiking book, right? Because if I had a hiking book to reference and I knew that, I would have either worn water shoes, like the kind that have a nice hard bottom, or gum boots.
It was the only hike we did that didn't have the little bridges over it.
I think it was just so deep into the mountains, and on the other side,
it was a pretty obscure one. And we saw one other small group of people the entire day.
Yes. So there's the really touristy area parts of the Great Smokies, and then the very obscure, not touristy parts.
I like the obscure, not
Me too.
Personally.
This is definitely in the obscure side, and specifically, it was part of, so Grapevine Ridge, that trail, starts from Roaring Fork. So it starts from the very busy area that's touristy, so anybody doing the tourist thing would start there, but that area was closed. So the other end of the hike is far, far away. I mean, it's 14 miles away, right?
We'll have to talk about those car hikes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. I'll tell you what my least favorite was.
Yeah? Car hike. Car hike?
That's even a thing. It's just called driving.
But, the second entrance off Greenbrier for the Graveyard Ridge is closer to the steam engine. So if you want to see the wrecked steam engine, that's the area to go from. And it was very just peaceful and quiet and separated. So it was very nice.
Yes.
And, I have these really nice gum boots I ordered from Amazon years ago.
But you didn't bring them.
I didn't bring them. RVs, and they're actually unbelievably comfortable. Like I could do a whole day of hiking in them.
Are they heavy?
No issues. They're mildly heavy, but I mean they're so comfortable and so like easy to walk in that I prefer them. Pretty much anytime I've ever worked with penguins, I've just used those. Like I don't even wear like normal shoes. I wear those, and we're walking like 8-9 miles a day plus, and never had a problem. I don't get blisters, so I should have next time. I mean, if I knew, I would have just walked right through the water in those.
Instead, you brought your pink Adidas, which are now brown.
I know they're all spotty,
and,
gross.
like, fancy boots, not hiking boots.
Well, the fancy boots were for Weird World.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we have to talk about the Titanic Museum too. Okay. Well, first let's talk about the car hike since you brought that up. So apparently, I actually don't know how I feel about this. In the Smokies, I guess because they have, it's first of all, it's the most visited national park in the U.S. And by a lot. It's very busy. And there's a lot of people that go there that, are not hikers but want to experience the park. So I guess the way they made that accessible for everyone is to make motor trails. So it's like a car trail where you can drive through this area that's supposed to be very pretty, in your car, go like, supposedly 20 miles an hour.
And I wish. It would have been really great if it was
yeah.
People drove that.
It's true. And so in theory, first of all, I mean, I guess it's a good idea to be accessible for everyone and to bring everyone in, but it's also just in a world where we're focusing on sustainability, it's a very not eco-friendly or sustainable thing to do at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why it exists. Mm-hmm. So some people can experience some of the quote-unquote hiking or the scenery of the mountains that maybe couldn't do it otherwise.
Yes.
That being said, it does. There is something, I don't know, maybe this is an overkill, but almost a little perverse of like like a trail of cars slowly idling along like this, like pristine, beautiful setting, just gas guzzling. It's also like there's a lot of gas guzzling truck type vehicle, big SUVs, which I guess makes sense out in the mountains or whatever. But there's just something off about seeing like a line of like F-150s just pumping away gasoline, moving 1 mile an hour in a line down a road to look at these pristine fields in the mountains. It's an odd contrast.
And we started, so I've heard a lot about Cades Cove because it's one of the big like ghost legends of the Smokies. I didn't realize that it's a motor trail, and we get on it, and it was at first it was absolutely fine. We're going about 20, which is the speed limit for it. And all right, this is nice. We're moving slow enough to take in. It's beautiful. Like it's this pristinely green field and like rolling mountains. And you're like, oh, this is so horses. I'm like, this is so pretty and nice. And it was fine when we were going 20. And then we pulled off to check out an old cabin, which was
John Oliver's cabin.
John Oliver.
The John Oliver?
Not that
John Oliver.
No, this is 1888 John Oliver, 1818 John Oliver.
Did he also have an entertaining show on HBO?
He did not. No. And that was it was a very nice cabin. We were very glad we did it because we got some great pictures. And then we regretted it immediately when we got back in the car because...
Well, we were not around any cars. We happened to not really be around any cars when we did that first mile. Like, this is great. This is beautiful. Let's pull over at this cabin.
Yes.
And then when we got back on the motor trail, we joined a line, parade of cars.
The reason that there
not at all
be a line of cars, though, is because somebody up front is being a jerk. Right? I mean, that's what it is, right? Somebody up front is stopping and going really slow. That's the only reason you're going to have that horrible line of cars
also,
like
we should
that.
preface,
yes.
This had ample pullovers. There was probably a pullover to see, the spot
every
you want.
Quarter mile.
Oh, even more than that. Yeah, I mean, every, I'd be surprised if they weren't more frequent than every quarter mile. But There were ample pullovers.
And there were also tons of parking lots, too.
We get full parking lots.
Full
and
parking
also,
lots.
there was a sign every, I don't know, tenth of a mile being like, don't stop in the road. Please use the pull. Please use one of the many pullovers. Stop being an asshole.
It said, be our idol, don't idle. And then there was another one that was like, pull over, don't, like, it was very clear.
They were don't be asshole signs.
Yes.
Every tenth of a mile.
And we got stuck behind. At first, it was like, okay, there's several cars where people are just like hanging out in the skylight, which is fine. They want to enjoy it, right? But right away, when you have like dad driving and like the mom has her head out the, the skylight, they're just going to drive slower than 20,
sure.
Right? So it was like we were already kind of starting to go slow, like okay. And then there was this one car that just kept stopping for no reason. I mean, they would just like stop, take this picture, stop here.
20 cars ahead of us too. You can see up the front. So you can see the one car that is causing this huge backlog.
And then there's like dozens of cars behind us. Like all of a sudden, it's just traffic because this one jerk won't pull over, as all the signs and literature, everything says.
The moment that was most surreal to me is that car was stopped in the road. It's one way. It's a loop. So you can only go. You can't pass anybody. It's just you're in line, and they're fully stopped in the road, like in the one-lane road, blocking. I don't know. There had to be at least 30 cars piled up here, and they're at the parking lot.
Right.
That has room to park. You literally could have just pulled off.
They stopped in the parking lot.
They're blocking the road.
Blocking the road. Didn't pull into a space.
It's like, wow, I don't understand.
I mean, and then they stopped to talk to someone. There was somebody taking pictures, and they stopped to just have a conversation while driving.
And there's
one of the pedestrians comes out.
30 cars waiting behind them while they're stopped in a parking lot, but not in a space, just in the road.
It became immediately stressful because it's like, okay, this is just traffic.
Yeah, it just felt like you were in traffic.
This isn't fun anymore. And it's one thing, we learned, it's one thing to like coast through a scenic route at 20 miles an hour, enjoying, the view, versus going 8 miles an hour or slower.
Well, the view also
was the same the entire time.
Well, unless you're the guy in front, the view is the next guy's bumper.
Right.
I mean, for a lot of it. So it ruins the view because it's just 30 cars on the line is your view. So
we very quickly learned that
car hikes
are not for us. No, we have too much road rage, and I'm all for taking a nice little casual drive, but don't be a jerk. I mean, really, like I can't express enough how much people don't pay attention to anybody but themselves, and that's what's so frustrating about it. It's the complete and total like not caring about anybody else whatsoever, having any form of self-awareness that kills me.
There were hikes off that motor trail, at least.
There were.
Pull off the parking lot and go on a hike.
Which we did at one point because we couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
It was also on our list of hikes, so we had to do it, but
it was good timing.
It was good timing.
You were ready to stroke out.
I almost yelled at the person. When we were stopped and they weren't moving for minutes.
I know.
I was
can't go
very close to or a honk, like move. It's just so rude. It's so rude. And again, I would, when we were going 15, 20, it was absolutely fine. There was no problems. It was nice view, no issues. There's no reason to stop in the middle of the road every few feet and hold up everybody to take pictures, and also to go when you are going 8 miles an hour.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was just a lot of pullovers. So
yes.
Just
pull over.
Of the many.
That's the other thing, right? I mean, the pullovers are there for a reason. If you want to take your time and go extra slow, let everybody else pass you. Like, you have to be the paying attention. Like, that was one of the things that.
Well, they're there for pictures.
Right.
You take all the pictures.
Yes. But also, too, let people pass you if you're going to go slow. I mean, when I was in Germany, something that I realized very quickly about the Autobahn, which was incredible, is that people they don't just know how to drive mindfully, but they pay attention to the other drivers and help them. So if they only use the far left lane to pass, unless you're just flying down the Autobahn and there's no speed limit. And if they see someone behind them coming, it's just intuitive to why you pull over. I need to go to the next lane over to let them pass. Like, it is just, because if you go over in front of someone going that much faster, then you're gonna get killed, right? So everyone just knows, okay, I need to only use the left lane if I'm passing, or if I want to go fast. And someone's gonna go behind me, let me just move over for them.
Well, death is a good incentive.
It is
to learn that.
But every single person was aware of other drivers, which we're not. That's part of it too. It's like having the awareness that other people are on the road. It just kills me.
So you highly recommend car hikes.
Definitely car hikes, murder trails all the way. It's also just the Smokies are one of the places you go to have just the worst drivers in the world. It's awful.
The driving in Gatlinburg, the city, was atrocious. Driving truly atrocious. The first trip we did there, we watched someone almost die.
We did.
Almost die.
Yeah, we did.
Just from just cars, no shits. A crosswalk just almost smashed that for
Yeah. Really, it was. The driving itself is just insane, and the hikes we did were really cool. We found this time. I guess the thing is, there's lots of great myths, legends, and cool places in the Smokies that make it worth it. And
don't let the car hike here
deter you.
The overall experience was great.
Regular hikes, highly recommend. Car hikes, not for me.
Hiking, great. Car hiking, less great.
We did a hike that actually led to an old schoolhouse, 1800s schoolhouse, which was very cool. It was very cool. We brought our daughter, and she's like, the academy, and then she wanted to stay.
Her preschool's called
the academy. So she just wanted to stay and hang out in the academy all day.
Good for her.
I know. Look at that.
I couldn't get out of school fast enough.
It was very cool to get to see an old schoolhouse like that. And I always love all the weird old graveyards. They're always fun.
You do love your graveyards.
I do. I wish I remember how many. There are hundreds of graveyards, if not more than hundreds, just hidden in the Great Smokys, because a lot of them are just people were buried in their yard, and then they no longer have that yard anymore. The park took
Yeah,
over.
but they're graveyard. They're 5 graves. Like a family plot.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there are hundreds of them.
I'm sure. I don't know.
Which is fun, because sometimes you just stumble on, there's no graveyard right here, and it's very common.
Or sometimes you pull up your Google Maps and specifically try to find them all, like Malorie.
I know, it's true. They're so cool. I don't know. There's something about the old headstones, and I like finding ones that are freakishly old. Just what's the oldest one I can find here? It's very exciting for me.
That's hot too. Who's the oldest one here?
Cougar? But I have to digress a little bit, because we were also filming an episode of Weird World when we were in Gatlinburg/Pigeon Forge. And we had this really cool interview this time. Every interview we did was very cool. We had a lot of amazing things.
Yeah, they were all really good.
But
we did it for the first time. Too.
We did, yes. And every single one was interesting. But this time in particular, we finally got to do the Titanic Museum. It was awesome. Mike was thinking it was going to be super lame and gimmicky, but it actually had a lot of cool artifacts from the Titanic.
Yeah, it was nowhere near as gimmicky as I thought it was going to be.
There was a lot of information.
The inside was a normal museum.
Yeah, and what just is so awe-inspiring to me about a lot of the Titanic information is how unbelievably researched that 1997 movie was. But actually, though, I mean, there are like little nods and facts and things that our tour guide was telling us about, and she would tell us, and oh, I remember that from the movie. Like James Cameron had researched it so well that there are so many little hidden nods to actual things that happened in Titanic.
Yeah.
And I just find that fascinating, and it was interesting to get to see, I guess, their faces that inspired some of that,
the characters,
because that I mean, it is one of the greatest movies of all time. You have the Oscars with Michael. Like Mr.
We'll have to agree to disagree.
Wow. Like Mr. Andrews, I mean, a real guy, right? And I like that, they try to memorialize the people that tried to do good for the world with Titanic, that shouldn't get, like, the ship designer shouldn't get a bad rep because of the lifeboats, because he aggressively tried to get all the lifeboats.
Yeah, he got overruled.
And so it's nice that they tell his story and try to, he tried to give more than enough lifeboats. They said no. But he said, well, how about this many?
They also said
no.
He went down with the ship actively throwing things overboard to try to give people things to float.
Yes.
That's pretty,
yes.
Pretty decent.
If you remember the movie, he was the guy that was like staring at the clock at the end when they ran by him and he said, "Please go save yourself," and was like actively trying. Like he gave up his life. Like, well, I'm not going to get on a lifeboat when I know there's not enough. Yeah, it was very interesting. And then, of course, I don't know why this fascinated me so much, but they had the water was 28 degrees, and they had 28-degree water, so you could, put your hand in there and be like, this is what it would feel like if you sank on the Titanic.
It didn't feel great.
It really didn't. It was cold, and I kept my hand in there a little too long the first time around.
Yeah.
And then when I took it out, I'm like, oh, this is kind of stings. And then for a while afterwards, while we're doing the interview, my hand was just kind of numb, and I'm like, might be. And our guide had mentioned, yeah, we had a doctor come through that said that people would realistically only live like 15 minutes in it. What do you think, doctor?
What do I think?
What do you think, doctor?
Yeah, I mean, not long.
Not long.
Yeah.
Right.
15 minutes, I mean, that's maybe on a little short end.
Yeah. Not long.
But yeah, I mean,
right.
Under an hour, right.
And they had the bridge that had the constellations in the sky put in exactly as they would have been when the Titanic hit the iceberg, which was interesting. And of course, they had the recreation of the grand staircase.
Of course.
The first class staircase.
Of course.
I mean, it's that iconic staircase from the movie. That's why people know it. Right? I mean, that's where when Rose dies, she then goes back down into the Titanic and gets to be a Jack thrower, and she walks down that staircase.
After living her full life with a husband and kids and grandkids, she dies and goes back to the guy she banged for 2 nights on. The complete stranger she had not even a one-night stand with, right? They just did it in the car and the thing, and then they sung.
Yeah, they fell in love, though, over a couple days.
All I know is the poor bastard she married for 40 years.
I will say, it always bothered me that, yes, she married someone, had kids, had grandkids. Her granddaughter's like a grown woman in the movie.
Yeah. And
she even talks about, well, your grandfather, this. And then when she dies, she just goes back to the guy she had an affair with for a few days.
But not before also throwing the goddamn diamond overboard instead of doing any number of things with it, like donating it to a museum for people to see. Yeah, just everything about it is just nonsense.
There was a deleted scene. I think there was an alternative ending. The alternate ending. I respected this ending, right? Which it's the one where she didn't throw it in the water and she gave it to the guy. Like, why would this guy have set his life to find this, right? Why wouldn't you just give it to him? And so in like one of the alternate endings,
you have to break it. Just
right.
I don't know. You could do something with it.
Well, in the alternate ending, she gave it to the guy, and he asked her, like, why didn't you ever like pawn it off or sell it to, like, to set up your life, right? Yeah. And her reasoning was that she didn't ever want to, like, she didn't want Cal to be the reason that she supported. Like she didn't want him to support her. So it was like I wanted to get by on my own. I didn't want to rely on
But that doesn't answer why you couldn't then give it to a museum at the end.
Yeah, she should have given it to the guy. Throwing it into the ocean for Jack is one of the dumbest things.
It also doesn't make any sense.
I know.
It's not a thing that Jack gave.
No.
It's a thing that the other guy, the schmuck, gave.
Yeah.
So who's it going to? None of it makes any sense to me.
And the God, it's infuriating. Honestly,
there goes $500 million.
I forgive Rose for a lot, but throwing the heart of the ocean into the ocean at the end is not one of them. You're like, this is just give it to the guy. Right? I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I'll just say it. Rose is the best of them, okay? I'll just say the unpopular opinion there.
Yeah. I mean, she did start the movie trying to kill herself.
Yeah.
Overlooked that.
She,
was a little unwell.
She's just the villain of the whole thing. I'm not saying Cal didn't deserve to get cucked. He does. I mean, they can both be villains. He does deserve it. But also, it's not like she did anything good with the rest of it either.
Yeah.
She dies, and the only thing she wants to do is go back to the street rat that she banged for a night.
I guess
ignore the whole family, and not going to donate the diamond to anything useful or do anything with it.
I
just going to off the ship. And
I guess the thing is that she was only happy when she was with him on the Titanic, which is sad because you have a family and your granddaughter.
That's a really depressing movie, then, right? Like if the moral is I survived the Titanic, and in the next 80 years of my life are miserable.
And then I'm gonna go back aboard the ship and die.
It's a bad life. That's a life not well lived.
Yeah.
Should have given that seat on the lifeboat to somebody else.
Yeah, Jack should have lived.
Yeah. Should have flip-flopped that goddamn panel.
Speaking of, I like how you said panel.
I know.
They had a whole room dedicated to the movie, props, and they had the door panel there that they were floating on at the end, and they were very particular about this is not the door. If everyone calls it a door, it's not a door. It's a panel from above, the door frame.
Okay.
And they had that panel there. And all I wanted to do was recreate that scene. I'm not gonna lie. You just wanna.
Well, if we ever go down in a ship and we're out in the freezing water, we're trying more than once.
Yes.
Before I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna die now.
Right.
Please go live another life with another family and have grandkids, but remember to come back here when you die.
They did do that on Mythbusters. And if you put the life vest underneath of it could have, you could have used some thought, and I know it's a traumatic situation you're not thinking, but if they had put their brains into it and put the life vest underneath the door panel. I'm
not saying that it would have worked or that they should have thought of that scenario, but you gotta try more than once, right? Before you're just well, that guy's just dead, right?
Our guy did tell us that James Cameron had said, if I could go back and redo it, I would have made that door panel a lot smaller so people would stop complaining about it. He had to die. Yeah.
All I'm saying is we're trying more than once. And
all right.
I'm not saying I'm taking the spot on the door panel, but I'm not saying I'm not.
Wow. It was a very fascinating, very cool experience to get to go through all that. The fact that I got to go up the grand staircase of the Titanic was really, really cool.
So glad for you. So happy for you.
And I mean, I'm not gonna lie. She started telling some of the stories for some of the guests on board. The real people. Yeah. And it was, some of them, I was getting a little teary, and I'm like, okay, what is happening to me? Why am I so emotional right now? This is really sad. Obviously it's a terrible tragedy that happened, but when you start getting immersed in the stories of the real people and things that happen, it's very sad.
survival rate on the third class kids.
Oh, it was
not
painful.
Great.
It was painful. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it was only first and second class, like, women and children that survived the Titanic, right? Very few men got off. Some did, but very few.
Yeah.
Like, generally the men, like, didn't survive.
Right.
And they like, the third class passengers didn't, a lot of them didn't make it.
Right.
It was not a good survival rate there. But yeah, when you go into Pigeon Forge, there's Alcatraz East, which I think we talked about last time, and the Titanic Museum, the Salt and Pepper Shaker Museum in Gatlinburg. There's a bunch of just wild museums and dinner theater experiences and just total chaos like Myrtle Beach #2.
Yeah, it looks like a beach strip or like mini Vegas strip.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Very lit up, very
Yes.
very weird.
And when you're coming from the east, kind of like we are from Virginia, like a lot of times we kind of go through North Carolina, but either way, you kind of wind up going through Pigeon Forge first, so you get the full experience of, oh, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
What am I driving through? There's 7 lanes and just a mini golf like palace on every corner.
It comes out of nowhere, too. It's surprising because you're in the middle of nowhere, kind of driving west away from civilization, yes. And then all of a sudden you're in Reno.
Complete chaos. Yeah. And then Gatlinburg it's a little bit more subtle than Pigeon Forge. Like, it's still very built up, but it's more like rustic resort, like what you'd be thinking. And we did the Sky Park this time.
That was cool.
That was very cool. So the Sky Park started out as just a ski lift up into the mountain. That's right there. I think it's Grandfather Mountain, as my dad calls it anyway. It lifts you right up there. And it used to be, I think it was built in the 50s, they said, and when it was built, it would just take you up the mountain. You'd take a picture, it's a little photo booth, like a strip of concrete, and then you go right back down. So just ride and ride down. And now they've expanded over decades, and it's a full park that's continually expanding. And they have a sky bridge that's suspended up there, which sways a little bit in the wind. It's very cool. That takes you across from one landing to another, and there's these glass panels in the middle of it, so you just kind of walk over nothing, like the glass. You just see
it's
the
a little
very
confusing, the glass panels.
I was okay with it until when we were standing on it. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is only just a tiny little 3 inches of glass here, but it's tempered glass, so it's really strong." And I'm like, "Oh, no, it was okay until you said that."
Yeah.
When you put it that way.
But you did that part of the tour, or just standing on the stopped in the middle of the
Yeah. Luckily, I'm not afraid of those kind of heights.
Breeze.
I was worried about you because you are not a heights person.
It didn't bother me. I thought I was going to be more bothered, to be honest.
And they have 4 hiking trails up there and the sky bridge. And there's an observation deck with a little tower, which is pretty cool. They have live music and fire pits, and they just got a little restaurant up there that has burgers. It was very cool.
Yeah, that's cool. It has a great view over Gatlinburg and the mountain backdrop.
I mean, really, it's one of the most beautiful views we saw. And it's a candidate for the book cover because it has Gatlinburg and the mountains.
But it doesn't have any ghosts associated with it. So, what are you going to do?
Well, there was a fire that ravaged that whole area, so I'm sure lots of people and animals died by them.
That's happy.
I can turn anything into a haunted story, Michael.
Yes. Well, when it's all fiction, I guess you can do whatever you want with it, right?
What was your favorite legend of the Smokies?
Favorite legend. I like Spearfinger, I think, the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we brought her up before. She's a witch that wanders the mountains, and she has this knife-like sharp finger, but it's I think they call it a spear finger because it's rock. It's granite or something, a little spear.
Yeah, we researched her a little bit after.
Yeah.
She has stone skin. She sounded worse when you actually
yes.
it. Ugh.
and would cut out children's, is it liver?
Liver.
Yeah, and eat them.
The spear
finger. And it's funny, when I heard it, I'm like, oh, it sounds like an old colonial tale to keep kids from like wandering off of a path.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually dates back to the Cherokee. The Cherokee people started spear fingers legend first, and then it went through.
And it has a different name, right? There's like a Cherokee name. I can't remember what it was.
They have a Cherokee name for their ghosts, too.
Mm-hmm.
Their Sigli is like what they call the spirits.
Wasn't there something that translates to like stone skin?
Maybe, yes. I don't remember, but yes. It was, she was very...
I'll have to reference the book. Right.
Yeah, reference our book to find out more. Spearfinger is great.
I like the Wampus Cat.
The Wampus Cat.
I just like the word Wampus. So I guess that's, I mean, you've heard like the word cattywampus, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
I think that's the same etymology.
I think so,
right?
yeah. And then the Wampus Cat transitions through different like cultures and areas. Like it's not just the Smokies, but their version of the Wampus Cat is unique because it's like part bear. Because bears are all over the Smokies, right? It's like their things. So it's like part bear, part cat.
It's almost like somebody mistook it for, a bear.
Right.
The thing that
lives there.
Wampus
Cat. God, what are you thinking?
Idiot.
Yeah, that was very exceptional. I don't know. They just have so many unique legends. There was another one I was thinking of recently that has just totally lost. Like it's just lost on me now. But
there's a lot of specific ghost stories. And the other car hike.
Mm-hmm. Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail
is like the hitchhiker.
Yeah, Lucy it's funny because you hear like Lucy the hitchhiking ghost, and to be honest, I know you're not like a big ghost story fan, but that story is told throughout like many different iterations, throughout every culture. It just is mildly adapted. Like I've heard that story hundreds of times in different places. Right?
What, like a hitchhiker? There's always a hitchhiker.
Well, it's usually a young woman who gets picked up by a man, like, in hitchhiking, and then he falls in love with her, and then he decides, I'm going to go back and ask for her hand in marriage, or I'm going to go see if I can date her, like whatever's appropriate for the time of the tale, right?
All creepy.
And then he comes back to the house to ask her parents, can I see Lucy? In this case, it's Lucy.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, she died decades ago, and then it's like, she was a ghost, right?
Yeah.
And then this version of it, because it's like old Appalachia.
I'll tell you the version I like. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Did you ever see that?
I
think it's his Big
a
Adventure.
long time ago.
And he's the hitchhiker.
Yeah.
And a trucker picks him up. And it's like Crazy Marge.
What?
Oh, yeah.
But he wasn't a ghost.
No, she's the ghost.
She's
the
the
truck
ghost.
driver's the ghost. Yeah.
Oh, weird. Really?
Yeah. It's just very out of place. There's like this random ghost story
In
Pee-wee, and she does like a crazy ghost face, like freak out at the end. It's just like, well, that was an odd thing to have in Pee-wee.
What? I don't remember that at all.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this version is very old Appalachia because they like specifically noted that she was barefoot when he picked her up. Like, oh, you can't be walking home. You're barefoot, right?
Yeah.
And then he picked her up on horseback. So you think hitchhiking, you're like, oh, maybe old motor cars. No, this is like horses. So he gives her a horse ride home on his horse.
So this is
like old Appalachia.
Okay. So it's the same hitchhiker story, but with horses.
Yeah, with horses and back in old Appalachia, which is interesting.
I like to think that there's some version of that story going back, in medieval times, horseback or something.
Right, I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
Those stories just recirculate and you're told in different ways. Just like we were talking about
No new stories.
Yes.
They're all iterations on the same. I took some literature, I guess it was high school, because I didn't take any lib arts in college. But there's like 20 stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then every story that I read is basically an iteration on one of these 20 stories.
Yeah,
There's like 20 archetypes, right? And
right.
that's it. Just everything is some iteration of that.
Right.
Which I guess is kind of true.
It's character archetypes put in different situations.
Yeah.
And how many situations can people really be put in, right? So it becomes very repetitive. Definitely. I took an archetype class in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's always like the maiden, the mother, the the lover, the leader. There's like very specific types, and then there's like Lucifer. Like they have like the villain, and like the innocent child. Like
what are you?
We're all like variations of different archetypes, though. No one's a set archetype. We're all pieces of each.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Like to you, I'd be your lover, right? But like to Adam, I'd be the mother. Like the point is the archetypes are roles.
It's character. It's relationship.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, it's the same stories. You're right.
I'm just the Lucifer. Everybody.
Lucifer. I like that we were out at getting some Gatlinburg Americana.
Yeah.
And Adam had like a sticker book. I got her, and she picked up the cat from Cinderella. It's like a Disney one, and she's like, "Who's this? Who's this?"
Oh yeah.
And then your mom's like, "Oh, what's the cat's name?" I'm like, "It's Lucifer." Lucifer. If you ever watch Cinderella as an adult, it's about 40% the cat chasing mice.
The Disney.
Yes, the Disney
original.
Version. Yes,
okay.
The animated.
Yeah.
It's literally like half of the story is the cat trying to eat the mice. I mean, it's pretty absurd how much of it is actually just the animals.
A lot of screen time. Yes. Irrelevant plot point.
It's true. It's true. Like in the beginning when she's bringing them breakfast, like there's a whole counter flat where the cat's just trying to eat the mice.
You think they like kind of wrote out the main Cinderella and they're like, well, this is only like 30 minutes long.
Yes, definitely.
We gotta fill a lot of screen time here.
We need some cute animals, so let's get Gus, and Jacques.
God, is that their name?
Yeah, that's why the mouse at our house is Gus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's the chunky one.
Okay.
There's a little fat mouse named Gus.
That one.
And then Jacques is the skinny mouse.
Okay.
I think they're the only ones that have names.
Everyone else is just
mice. And Bruno is the dog. Lucifer is the cat. I think those are the only like named animals in there. But yeah. Do you remember? I always loved 101 Dalmatians. They had the Colonel and Sergeant Tibbs, who were like secretly the best characters, right? The dog and the cat. And there's a horse too. I forget the horse's name.
I do remember Sergeant Tibbs because I mean, what a name.
Right, exactly. Well, he's the one that kind of goes in and tries to save the puppies. He's like a little cat, and he sneaks in, and yeah.
Sergeant Tibbs.
Yep.
What the hell are we talking about?
Legends. Okay. Storytelling. See how that fits in together.
Which archetype is Sergeant Tibbs?
He's like a military man.
Military man.
But yes, the Smokies is one very, it's an interesting place. And
it's a weird mix of stuff.
It has, we actually asked the guy at Sky Park about like the attendance, and there are many people that come to the Smokies to see the Great Smoky Mountains. And then there are just as many people that come just to be in Gatlinburg that have no interest in going into the mountains.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's like two totally different experiences. I mean, I even said when we were there, because we did like a day hiking.
Yes.
And then we filmed Weird World like in the city.
Yes.
And then we did some family, just fun activities.
Yes.
And then we went back to hiking.
Yes.
And by the time we got back to the second round of all-day hiking, I was like, that felt like a different...
It did.
A few days ago felt like a different trip here.
Yes.
Because things we did in between felt like a totally different place.
Definitely. Yeah, it's full on like family vacation beach town meets. Oh yeah, we're in a national park.
They're all very close. I mean, you can get to where you feel like you're just in the middle of nowhere in 5 minutes outside of the main city.
Very quickly. Yeah, it's definitely.
I want to go back just for no reason.
And to get to do some of the other hikes we didn't get to spend a lot of time on. There's so many hikes. And
we did like 43 or 44, and it's not even close to. I mean, there's hundreds of them out there.
Yes. And I mean, there's also just so much to do in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. We also did the aquarium.
Yeah, it was fun.
Which was lots of fun because they have my African penguin.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Penguins.
Here we go.
I could watch penguins like bobbing around in water all day. I don't know what it is. It's fascinating to me.
I mean, our daughter kept asking, what kind of fish is that? Oh, what kind of thing is this? And we have any idea.
Yeah, it's a regular fish.
Just a nice regular fish.
Regular
yellow fish.
Yeah.
And then she gets to the penguin. What kind of penguin is that? And you just go on this full, rant.
Listen,
you see, there are exactly 22,573 of them left. And blah, blah, blah.
You can tell it's an African penguin because it has spots on its belly.
Exactly.
And one stripe on its neck.
Everything else was a regular fish, regular
too.
jellyfish.
Yep.
And then 40-minute lecture on the various subspecies of penguin.
I think I like penguins so much because they remind me of derby cats. I mean, really, we watched Charlie, so they all had their name bands on, right? Mm. And we watched Charlie the penguin prune himself, and just clean himself like a cat. It looks like a cat. He's ruffling his feathers and just, pruning himself. And it just looks like a cat cleaning itself. I mean, it went on for a long time. And then, another penguin comes over and he starts getting so aggro on him, like he's going to attack him, just like a cat, right? I mean, they're finicky like cats. They want to kick each other's asses like cats.
That other
dude
got the hell out of Dodge, though.
Oh, he did. He was like, I'm done. That's one of my other favorite things is penguin defense mechanisms. They turn their head like a snake really aggressively back and forth, and it looks kind of cute. So people will be like, oh, look what they're doing. Are they going to kiss? Oh, look at them. They're being funny. And I'm like, oh, no, they're about to beat the crap out of each other. That's the, if you don't get away from me, I'm going to pick out your eyes.
Yeah.
And he did. He started intimidating the other one, and he ran away. And I said, okay, we're about to have a penguin fight. And then there was Momo. There was this, tiny little female penguin named Momo that just laid down on her belly like a cat. That's the other thing. When they lay down, they look like cats when cats lay on their arms.
Yeah, it's the penguin.
You did. You did. What could you've done? Well, I guess, is there anything else you'd like to say about Smokies, Michael? You have a whole book coming out. What can you tell people about the Smokies that you'd like to give a teaser on?
I think we covered it all, right? I mean, it's the hikes are great. They're pretty varied, too.
They range from this is a paved walkway to you are going to trip over roots in this tiny little foot-long.
There are hikes that I would consider just a walk down a path.
Yes.
And then there are climbing a mountain.
Yes.
And they're all, within 30-minute drive of each other.
Yes. It's interesting how much it goes from built-up, well-manicured park to backwoods. Yeah. No one has been here in years. Kind of feel to that.
But within a short distance.
Yes.
You don't have to drive 3 hours out of your way to get to the backwood area.
Yes, it's incredibly. I mean, some of the roads stop being paved.
There's a lot of variability in elevation change. Some of the hikes are just flat.
Yes.
Some of them are along rivers. Some of them are just in backwoods.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good variety of stuff. Some of the old architecture is really cool.
There are so many.
There's a lot, and you're encouraged to visit. You're not trespassing. They're specifically allowed to be there and entered and then the two main towns, cities, Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, are just so not what you'd expect for a national park in the middle of the mountains. They are little Vegas strips or built up beach town feel,
right? With
a lot of I guess there's a lot of family oriented stuff. There's also a lot of just party scene. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of kind of open to the sidewalk main road wineries, and there's a moonshinery.
Yes, and there was that place that had THC infused margaritas.
Yeah.
What is that?
Sounds terrible.
Sounds horrifying. E. Cheese hat.
Yeah.
To our daughter, every arcade is Chuck E. Cheese.
A Chuck E. Cheese variant.
Yes.
Yeah. There's, I guess, something for everybody.
Definitely. I like how rich it is in lore.
It's like a huge, the actual national park is massive.
Yes. It spans multiple states.
Yeah, it spans multiple states.
I mean, like, when you think of Shenandoah, for instance.
You
think of, like...
That's the one closest to us.
Yes.
And it's the one I've been to the most.
Yeah.
So it's my personal template for what I expect a national park to be, and it is nothing like that. Right.
You expect it to be very rustic, right? That's how it is. And I don't think I could tell you any stories about the area or legend. Like, I'm sure there are some, but the Smokies, it's like there are just centuries of, like, legends and weird hybrid cryptid creatures, and, like, like it goes back to, like, Cherokee legends, and then, like, the colonial settler legends, and it just has so much of, like,
a lot of bastardization of
exactly.
Pre-existing legends.
Yes. Just, like, slightly changed. But you can see, like, just there's so much history and lore, and it's like this very, very, like, well-defined culture kind of just that exists, like, hidden in the woods there. That's what I like about it so much. But
a lot of little hidden gems there too.
Many hidden gems. It's really quite beautiful. So I can't recommend it enough. Make sure you guys check out when it comes out. You'll follow Malorie'sAdventures.com and Malorie's Adventures on Instagram, and that Michael Rosato over here. Yep, Weird World Adventures on Facebook. Because you'll see the release of our book, Haunted Hikes in the Great Smoky Mountains through Falcon Guides, and you can read all about the legends and lore of the Great Smoky Mountains. And
it'll give you the hike information.
That too, for the people that don't like the lore as much. And Weird World Adventures Season 2 will air on Amazon Prime this fall, and we'll have an episode on the Smokies.
I painted like one of my French girls on the Titanic.
I'll never let go. I did make him...
That's it's in the special scenes.
No?
No?
No. I did make him say, I'm Kato!
That's also not going to be in the episode.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
No way.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Malorie.
And I'm your host, Michael.
Be sure to follow us on Malorie'sAdventures.com. And until next time, everybody, stay here.